Welcome to Breakdown, JJ. Today is Monday, April 14th, 2025.
Yeah, it is. Also known as Day 3 in the Brave New World. Nico, Iamaleava shakes up the landscape again.
Hey, Nico is the man.
Is he though?
You said again, when did he shake it up before?
When he got the biggest payday known to man at the time. When he was 17, got that $18 million.
No, eight.
$8 million bag, sorry. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he would be a lot more satisfied if it had
he would still be there.
Yeah.
You're talking about the quarterback of Tennessee.
The quarterback of Tennessee, who as a 17-year-old got $8 million. It was like the launching of a new era with NIL. It was like it opened the door of things to come, and it ushered in a lot of quarterbacks making a lot of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I kind of led the way. The other big guy was the guy that Michigan just signed this year, young guy.
Bryce Underwood, yeah.
Yeah, for the cash. JJ,
Yeah.
Nico, you said he's shaking it up again. What is he doing to shake up the landscape?
Well, he had the first college football holdout.
College football holdout.
Yeah, and it or maybe like a strong arm. I don't know what actually happened behind the scenes. One day we'll know. That'll be a pretty interesting documentary, I think.
So he is getting. How much is he getting, and how much does he want?
He's making like $2.4 million a year this year.
2.4 to play quarterback at Tennessee this year.
Yeah, last year he led them to a playoff.
His first year as a starter.
Well, the running back led them to the playoff. He was on the team that played in the playoffs.
Okay, the first year as a starter, they went to the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
JJ, how valuable is 21 touchdown opposed to 5 interceptions?
Yeah, 21 touchdowns, 19 passing, 2 rushing, and 5 interceptions. That's not bad numbers, but they're not great numbers either. It's interesting that he is the canary in the coal mine on this one because, he's not like lighting the world on fire. This isn't for example, this isn't say if Cam Ward had another year of eligibility and he came back or something like that. It's not Cam Ward.
Right.
It's a guy who, you can definitely be. He won't keep you from making the playoffs, but he doesn't necessarily be the driving engine.
Okay.
But his ceiling, he has all the tools. That was last year. I mean, who knows how much better he could get this year?
That's true. It was only his first year as a starter. You would think that he would get a little better. Not a bad numbers. But JJ, with Nico holding out, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a bigger deal for 1, Nico, 2, Tennessee football, 3, Tennessee fans, or 4, college football?
I think it's 1 and 4. I think it's for Nico individually and for college football as a whole. I think Tennessee is pretty much absolved of whatever happens. I think, no sports writer is going to put Josh Heupel on the hot seat if Tennessee doesn't live up to expectations when their quarterback, pulled the move that he did. There was rumors that he pulled this move before the playoffs where he said, him and a couple of teammates said, like, hey, if you don't give us some more money, we won't play. We'll sit out the playoff game.
Wow.
So apparently that happened before. So for them to have accepted that and gave in before the playoff game in which he had a pretty atrocious game, we'll say, but for Tennessee to have done that initially and then in this instance to have fought back, I think they're absolved completely. I think it's all on Nico. I think there's going to be a microscope on his career going forward, where he goes, how much money he gets, how he performs. I think there's going to be a microscope on his career. And I think there's a lot of I think this is going to send ripple waves and shock waves throughout the college football landscape. I think there's going to be a lot of coaches who are going to approach things a lot differently. I don't know, like unions and collective bargaining agreements might be something that coaches might be more willing to entertain nowadays. What say you, sir?
JJ, for all my life, the college athlete had zero power. the coaches could do anything, treat them like dirt, basically do anything they wanted to with them, and they had no power. So
Well,
the
they had power in the recruiting process. I think Eric Dickerson and some other people will tell you that.
okay,
But once they got there,
true,
that's when
they had no power.
that's when all of that was almost taken.
They had no power.
Yeah.
And now it's changing a little bit. So is it changing for the better or for the worse?
Yes. It is absolutely changing for the better and for the worse.
Okay.
You know, which way will it ultimately end up leaning? That only time will tell. But I do think that, you know, there's never been like just. I think, you know, the NCAA has, you know, avoided wanting to have to. The NCAA and colleges have avoided wanting to identify players as employees and all the headaches that come along with it. But they've opened up a whole new Pandora's box and a whole new can of headaches that they have to deal with. So I think that, you know, once the juice doesn't become worth the squeeze, I think, you know, the water will get shut off a little bit, and eventually the NCAA will just have to, you know, they will acknowledge the football players as employees, and they will have to have contracts as employees, and this whole thing won't
I think that's going to happen too. Another question to you, JJ.
Yeah.
Is there a winner and a loser in this?
Yeah. I would say a winner is Josh Heupel. He's a winner because he gets a year to do whatever with no pressure whatsoever. So he's a winner.
Well, time out. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
He's a winner, and if they do something good, then he just looks like a genius.
That's true.
You know, because he takes a lot of scrutiny. A lot of, you know, NFL scouts, you know, when they do, you know, scouting, when they scout Joel Milton's tape, or, you know, Hendon Hooker and a lot of the other quarterbacks that, you know, Josh Heupel's employed, they call it a Mickey Mouse offense, and like they've called it like just, you know, just nothing even close to the sophistication of an NFL offense, and it's just something that doesn't translate at all. So I think that there was a little bit of heat after the way Nico performed throughout the season. You know, he's supposed to be the savior and everything like that. I think there was a little scrutiny, and there was a little not heat on Josh Heupel's seat. They didn't make the playoffs, but I think that there was a little bit more scrutiny than. And I think he just gets to coast. I think Tennessee as a program. I think that they're like kind of like the victims. Okay. They're seen as the victims. So I think that if anybody's a winner, I would say it's them. I think, you know, the big loser is Nico, Iamaleava. Definitely Nico's dad. His dad his dad came off looking so bush league, unprofessional. He called, you know, swear at people, calling them B words, and he just looked horrible in this. Like he looked. I mean, I think that's one of the things that scared USC away at some of the other schools that might have been in on him. I mean, there was rumors.
So should Arkansas be afraid because his little brother is at Arkansas now?
Well, you know what? I think Arkansas should be, you know, putting a microscope on every single action, every single tardiness that, you know, Junior Iamaleava has, no matter what. Like, I think, you know, he's going to be under a microscope because of his brother's actions.
Okay, let's go back.
Well, and his dad's actions, really.
Yeah, let's go back to Nico. Mm-hmm. You say his dad's a loser.
Yeah, his dad looks horrible.
If Nico get $4 million, I'm going to call Nico a winner. But this is my question.
I don't think he gets $4 million. I wonder if he gets what he got at Tennessee.
That was my question. How much power does Nico have now? Because it's so late in the process. He's not going to be recruited by many schools. Even, you know what? I would venture to say, had Michigan not given
Mikey Keene?
No, Underwood that money, I think Michigan might be in the market.
Well, they would be desperate if they didn't have Bryce Underwood. They absolutely would be in the market.
Well, you know, I'm just saying, but I'm saying right now would have been so late in the season, and a lot of the money has pretty much been planned, distributed. You know, it hasn't actually been distributed, but plans and I'm sure guarantees and promises have been made about how the money is going to be distributed. And how many schools out there got $2 million, $3 million, $4 million that they hadn't already accounted for to give to Nico? So how much power does Nico have right now?
Well, he doesn't have much because I think he thought he had more. I think before, you know, they handled it the way that they did, you know, not showing up for practice and then the dad, like, I think Nico looked unprofessional not showing up for practice. I think the dad looked unprofessional, calling out reporters and calling out coaches via social media and cussing at them. So I think that kind of like was a huge red flag. Just incredibly unprofessional, and so I think that they really cost themselves, and I can't imagine they're gonna get the type of money that they got. I mean, like name the teams that have been interested in him, like rumors.
Let's go with that. I was about to go there.
I don't think they have the type of money like just laying around.
There are 3 schools out there that I think it was Sports Illustrated that reported these 3 schools, and you tell me why these schools would want them. I'm gonna go first with the school in California where Nico is from. He's from California, UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that be a good landing spot for him?
Because UCLA needs a quarterback, and he's from Southern California.
Okay. And what I had read somewhere about, I don't know, maybe Friday or Saturday, was that they were not sure if UCLA had the money that Nico wanted.
Yeah, I mean, UCLA not having money is why there is no longer a Pac-12. This is what some people think.
Well, let's go to another school that might be interested in him.
Mm-hmm.
University of North Carolina. Why would they be interested in Nico?
Well, they just had a splashy coaching hire. You want to make sure that you have.
And their new coach is?
The new coach is
Bill Belichick.
6-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick, who is dating a woman who was not alive for September 11th. So he is literally in a relationship.
That lucky dog. But that's a whole difference. Whole difference. Okay, so North Carolina would be interested in him. Why would they be interested in him, though, JJ?
I mean, you make a big splashy hire. It's kind of like the Rick Pitino effect. Like you want to make sure that you bring in some firepower, some highly talented players to support such a flashy name.
Okay.
I mean, I would think that was one thing that he would want as well.
Okay. The other school, JJ, rumored to be...
And Max Johnson is the quarterback there, and he takes a lot of sacks, and Bill Belichick does not like...
Not forget about Max Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay, JJ, the other school, Tulane. Why would Tulane be a potential landing spot for Nico?
Because their quarterback just got $3.6 million to go play for Duke.
And their other quarterback got suspended.
Yeah, so they are in need of a quarterback. But what type of money does Tulane have?
That's a good question.
And there's some other schools that, I mean, originally Notre Dame and USC were names that people said were interested.
Definitely USC.
But they have definitely ran from that.
Yeah.
FSU doesn't have a quarterback for the future that we know of right now. FSU could be one.
Yeah.
But
this is the thing. If Nico come to a school and he does well, that's a 1-year thing. Will he jump for the NFL, or will he stay for another year?
I mean, it depends on how well he performs. I mean, he has the tools. He's 6'6". He's strong arm, athletic, but he didn't put it together.
He didn't put it all together.
He didn't put it all together this past season.
True, I agree. And I know we don't know the inside deals. We don't so much we don't know. But if you Nico, and if it came down to those 3 schools, everything else being equal, which would be better?
I would absolutely go to North Carolina. I mean, I think that's the best way to save face. I mean, you're going to play for a 6-time champion, the guy that coached the best quarterback of all time, arguably. I would say that's the best way. I mean, that's the best way for him to come out looking like he won. But if he goes to Tulane, that's a step down. And Tulane, I don't think is going to have the money. San Diego State or anything like that. I don't think they're going to have the type of money for him either. UCLA might not have the money. If UCLA has the money, that might also be an option because he's from there. But I don't know, what the surrounding pieces.
Well, this year, all schools get that new $22-23 million to add to their NIL collective.
But I mean, that's money that they have to come up with.
I know.
Yeah. I know. That's the cap, but they still got to generate that.
They got to distribute it before they generate it.
Yeah.
So that's what they're gonna do.
Well, don't get caught like Leonard Hamilton did in basketball.
Ooh, wow.
Because you don't want to distribute it before you generate it.
Well, they didn't have the settlement from the House versus NCAA then.
That's
now
true.
with that settlement, it's
it might be a little different.
It's a bit more guaranteed for the players.
Yeah,
a lot more guaranteed for the players. But JJ, That's the shakeup, man. What else? Anything else you got?
Nothing, man. It's just it's a brave new world. This college football landscape is constantly shifting and maneuvering, and it's just, I mean, this is gonna have an impact, and I don't know what it is yet, but stay tuned because we both know it's gonna have a significant impact.
One thing I do know.
What do you know?
Nico won't be the last college player to hold out.
You know, he wasn't the first necessarily. Didn't UNLV's quarterback do that?
Well, he left in middle season after the first 2 games.
I think he tried to hold out initially, and then they just said like, we're just gonna move on without him. I think they were the first school to do to put to the
well, Nico won't be the last.
He definitely
still won't be the last.
He will not. You're right about that.
No, in some ways
somebody's gonna do it. Yeah, I think Nico doing it before college football playoff. I think that was that report was like a eye opener for me because somebody's definitely gonna do that too. I mean, you know someone's gonna.
If you get a whole group of players on one team to do something like that, players got the power.
Yeah.
Players, back in the day they say fight the power. You can't fight the players. Because fight the players, we'll have a game without players.
Yes, it's tough. How do you fight that power?
Okay, JJ.
Dad.
What else you got?
Yeah, I got nothing. It's a nice day, 63 degrees out.
Man, we ought to be fishing. Why are we here doing a podcast, a video, when we could be fishing?
You know what? You're right. Let's get out of here. I mean, I'm not going to go fish, but, we should be outside.
WPS, Wool Pig Suey. All those fish, JJ, got scared when they heard me say, let's go fishing.
Oh, man.